Hi guys, and welcome once again to Jonesy's Question Time. And once again, you have not let me down this week, guys. After the kind of bumper episode last week of answering quite a few questions, I didn't have any left, and I asked you to keep sending them in, and you have certainly done that. So we're going back to the normal format now of kind of answering 4 to 5 questions per episode. It might be a bit quicker tonight because I'm under a little bit of pressure time-wise. But yeah, I've had quite a few in, so as always, if I don't get round to answering your question on this episode, then, you know, it will be on next week's. Don't worry about it, I haven't ignored you or anything. And one thing I have noticed, and one thing I'm going to be doing from now on, is actually... what am I going to be doing? I'm going to be putting frequently asked questions in the description below, because there's quite a few questions that are starting to kind of really replicate themselves quite a lot that I've already answered. So I'm just going to find, there was a certain one that I can't remember where it was now. I'm having to go off my phone at the moment because, like an idiot, I decided not to write down my questions this time round. But it was a question asked from who was it now? It was Home and Away. Asked me. It actually came through about 4 times on my video, so I don't know if you're having a little bit of trouble with that there. Oh no, it came through 5 times actually. And asked what editing software do you use for your videos, and it's one that's been asked quite a few times. So I'm going to start putting the answer to that in the frequently asked questions below, mixed with a few other questions as well, sort of people asking about like what's my favourite FIFA game and things like that. So, you know, so people know what questions are always asked all the time. I'll put them in the description below, but I will answer it one more time just for those wanting to know. The editing software that I use for all my videos is Serif Movie Plus X6, I think it's called, this one. Really great, easy piece of software to use for people starting out, you know, doing editing, that don't want to kind of have the basic one of, say, like Windows Movie Maker, which, as good as it is, you are so limited to what you can do on it. And Serif Movie Plus kind of has so much more, but it's still easier to use. And if you don't want to pay for it, it does also have a free version, which, although again it limits you a little bit, you still have a hell of a lot more tools to your disposal than what you do on Windows Movie Maker. So thank you for that question, Home and Away. But like I say, from now on I will be putting sort of frequently asked questions in the description below, so people can check that out. But the first sort of proper question from this week comes from Steve on Twitter, who has asked me, what is your opinion on Frankie Boyle? And a very random question that, but a good one all the same. My opinion on Frankie Boyle. Personally, I mean, I actually used to quite like him. I preferred him on when he used to be on Mock the Week. I used to be really into that programme, and I quite liked him on that. Obviously, he had to done a lot of his kind of comedy down. You know, he will have got censored quite a lot. I mean, there were still a few things that he managed to get away with. Some things he didn't quite get away with, but I actually quite liked him on that, and for quite a while. And then I watched one of his live stand-up DVDs quite a few years ago. I think it was his first one, and it was okay, but I just didn't like his over-aggressive nature. You know, the sort of the banter or the kind of interaction he had with his audience members. It wasn't a kind of... It just seemed like he was just abusing them all the time. Which I know it's all done in jest and everything, but I just didn't personally like that kind of comedy. But for people who properly kind of have a real go at him and have a... You know, it's quite an easy target, Frankie Boyle, I think. And I think the most important thing to do here is differentiate between Frankie Boyle the person and Frankie Boyle the comedian. You know, a lot of the things that he's joked about and everything are, at the end of the day, just jokes, and that's what comedians are here to do. And it is that kind of shock comedy that he goes for, and there's a hell of a lot of shock comedy out there. And I think it's his aggressive way of delivering it that gets him in more trouble than, say, you know, Jimmy Carr. You know, I think Jimmy Carr and Frankie Boyle have a very similar style of humour in their jokes. Jimmy Carr, not quite as extreme, but he has said a hell of a lot of kind of shock jokes in the past. But I think with Jimmy Carr, when you look at him and the way that he kind of delivers it, you know that he's, because he's got that cheeky smile about him, a bit of a cheeky chappy kind of personality to him. I think he gets away with it a lot more than what Frankie Boyle does. And I think it's quite unfair on Frankie Boyle, because like I say, even though it's not necessarily my cup of tea, some of the things that he does, it really does suit some people's style of comedy. And at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with that. And I mean, he has said some pretty close to the knuckle things, the things with Harvey Price, Katie Price's son, that obviously got him in a lot of trouble, and he said some other things, but like I said, at the end of the day, he's a shock comedian. He's there to do jokes. I don't even think he does his stand-up anymore. I think he's gone away from that. He does more writing and things now, and he's done more TV stuff, but I just differentiate. Frankie Boyle, the person, is completely different from what I've seen on TV to Frankie Boyle, the comedian. He's a very clever man. I can tell you that for sure. He's he's very, very clued up about all the things that he does talk about and everything. But he's not going to go around every day and calling everyone a fuckface and everything. At the end of the day, it's a job. Being a comedian is a job. And he's got his certain style of comedy, and it obviously works because people have paid to watch him and buy his DVDs and everything. So my opinion on Frankie Boyle is it's not particularly to my taste, but it is to a lot of people's tastes out there. And good luck to him. I certainly don't have anything against him. I can probably see why people do get offended by him, but at the end of the day, if you are offended by him, you just don't listen to what it has to say. That's sort of the top and bottom of it for me, really. So thank you very much, Steve, for that question there. So let's go back through the questions. Can I even get back to the question time video? Hang on, you might actually hear the start of it now as I'm going onto the video. Jonesy's question time. Let's just stop at the start if I can do it quick enough. Oh no, we're getting an ad. Yeah, sorry about this, guys. Hang on. And that's fine. There we go. Right, so... Oh, wow, I had more than what I thought. What have we got here? Daniel Etwell. Etwell? I don't know. Sorry about that, Daniel. Obviously, after last week's question time of people asking me about, my favourite football grounds, he's asked me, what do you think of Bootham Crescent, which is York City's ground? I actually went there for the first time for this pre-season's match where we drew 1-1. My first trip there, and it was all right. I'm a big fan of the traditional style ground, and you definitely don't get much more traditional than Bootham Crescent. It is a little bit like stepping back in time. I do like grounds that still have terracing left, especially kind of open terracing. So, I mean, the ground itself was okay. The facilities, though, really not very good. I mean, the toilets, I'm not sure what they're like in the rest of the ground, but the away end was pretty shocking, really. It was practically just pissing up against the wall. There was no bar. I don't know whether that was just for that game or if there's never sort of drinking facilities. The food was okay, really, but for a League Two ground and a ground that has been for a long time a conference ground as well, certainly not bad. I've been to a hell of a lot worse grounds, so those are my thoughts on that. But I do want to point out from now on, every question time, I don't want people just asking me my opinions on just like each individual grounds, because if people are going to do that, I might as well have a separate question time video just for football grounds. But anyway, yeah, thank you for your question, Daniel. Those are my thoughts on Bootham Crescent. What have we got? XX Joey Lad XX has asked me, Jonesy, when did you first take interest in football, and which people, friends or relatives, got you interested? Well, it actually got me. It took me quite a while to get into football, to be honest with you, Joey. A lot of lads and everything, or kids usually get into football when they're very young, sort of kicking a ball around at the age of 2, 3. But I didn't really get into football until I was sort of 6, turning 7. Basically, I lived in a house with my older brother, my dad, and my mum, and they went to the football pretty much every weekend. Obviously, my mum staying home with me, but she did go to games. Albeit she's not first and foremost a Leeds United supporter. She's actually a Bradford City supporter because she's from Bradford, but she does obviously have quite a love for Leeds United now because she has to basically. And yeah, I think from an early age, my dad and my brother especially really wanted me to get into football, and for some reason I just didn't straight away. And then they finally managed to get me to go to my first game. It was in the 96-97 season, so I would have still been 6. And it was in the 97 part of the season where we beat Everton 1-0 at home. And I think Robert Molyneux actually scored the goal. I grew up thinking it was David Weatherall for some reason, but I think it actually turned out it was Robert Molyneux. And yeah, I just fell in love with it. I absolutely fell in love with it. I still remember it. I still remember the atmosphere. I remember the smell of coming into Welling Road the first time, sort of the mixture of the food and the drink and the smoke in particular. The days where you actually used to be able to smoke there. And yeah, I did fall in love with it there and then, really. So it is down to my brother and my dad, predominantly. I mean, after then, I got my season ticket straight away for the 97 season. I didn't start going to away matches until 2002, but my dad just took me all over the place. I was very, very lucky in that aspect. I always used to play football with my brother. And then I started playing football at school and everything, and the love affair with Leeds United just went on from there, really. So I guess like a lot of people, with their first experiences with football, it did come from my dad and my older brother. So yeah, thank you very much for that question there, XX Joey Lad XX. TR Gamer asked me, what's the most weirdest thing you have ever seen? The weirdest thing I've ever seen. I've seen quite a lot of weird things. If you go back to my first Phoenix Nights diary, where me and Lee went to Manchester to watch Phoenix Nights, we saw the Piccadilly Rats perform. If anyone's been to Manchester before, I don't know if they perform there sort of every weekend, every Saturday, but in the big Piccadilly Square area. They were just playing on the street corner there, and it was quite an experience. Let's just say that. Yeah, I will put a link in the description to that video, and you'll see what I mean. Basically, I don't want to say anything in case I say something wrong, but you'll see what I mean by watching the video. So that was quite a weird thing. On the similar line, the other day, walking through Leeds city centre, seeing a busker, a man on a small keyboard surrounded by a rope with a horse's head on. Apparently he's a new fixture in Leeds city centre at the moment, and that was weird, although it did make me fucking piss myself laughing. He's quite the performer, I will say that. Other weird things, I don't know really. Watching my one of my best mates in high school juggle 3 pigs' hearts in biology was quite weird, but quite interesting at the same time as well. That was weird. The teacher wasn't in the room, as you can probably guess at the time, but that was quite an experience. And apart from that, I don't know. I mean, obviously, living in the world that we live in and the culture we live in with the internet, every single day you're seeing extremely weird things on the internet. Today I saw a very weird GIF of some kind of pig. I mean, it was a pig costume, obviously a guy in a pig, but it kind of looked like a proper human pig, and it was doing a weird kind of tongue action and then a laugh at the end. That was creepy. That was very creepy and very weird. So yeah, it's quite a hard question to answer because there's so many weird things. They all kind of get mushed into one, but those are just a few of the weird things that I've seen, TR Gamer. So thank you very much for your question there. And finally, let's finish with James Mahoney, who was asked me, how long do you think Leeds United can go unbeaten? Obviously, getting the win against Derby at the weekend is a big confidence boost. Getting the 4 draws on the bounce to start the season off It was one of those where if we didn't kind of follow them up with a win, then it was kind of all in vain. But now we've actually won that game, a very difficult game as well away at Derby. Such a bogey ground for us and a good team, obviously, that have done well in recent years. That'll do so much for the confidence of the team. We've done okay, getting personnel in. The team seem to be gelling well. We seem to have kept, so far, I mean, it's transfer deadline sort of right now, really, and so far I haven't heard any news of us losing like of, Cook, Mowat, Byram, etc. and Taylor. So that's good. We have added to the squad with Jordan Bataka, who's another winger who looks quite an exciting player. So I don't know. I mean, the whole unbeaten thing, we say it's not like we're going to have a whole season unbeaten. It's just not going to happen. I think the days of that really, you think back to the Invincibles and the Arsenal side, it's just pretty, not impossible, but it is extremely difficult for that to happen nowadays. So I don't know. You look at the next few games that we've got coming up, I don't know. I would say maybe another 2-3 games unbeaten. I'm really not expecting to keep going unbeaten for so long. You've as pessimistic as it sounds, you've got to expect a defeat at some point, unfortunately. But to go on as long as we have, I mean, I don't know what our last brilliant kind of unbeaten run was really. So I just think we've done well enough to go this long unbeaten, and it's a good start to the season. Like I say, if we had have lost, say, the Derby game, although it would have been kind of expected, it would have just meant those first 4 games were all for nothing really, and the 4 draws and the unbeaten thing just wouldn't have meant a thing. So that's my view on that. Sorry, who sent that in? James Mahoney. Thank you very much, James, for that question. So I think there's two or three questions there that I haven't answered. I know there's one from Jack95HD who asked the question, so I'll definitely be answering that one along with all the others next week, guys. Like I say, sorry I'm in a little bit of a rush, but I am a little bit restricted with time wise and recording tonight. But thank you everyone that has sent in questions this week. If you do want to leave a question for next week and the forthcoming weeks for question time, then please do it below in the comment section of this one or at my Twitter at ChrisJonesLUFC. But please do make sure that you leave the hashtag Jonesy's question time or Jonesy's questions or something, just so it's very easy for me to kind of keep up to date with them. And I promise for next week I will actually write them down and keep track of them instead of trying to do it off my phone like I did this week. That was that didn't go very well, did it? So thank you very much for watching, guys. If it is your first time here, then please do leave a like and a subscribe. That will be very much appreciated. And until next time, take care of yourselves, and I will see you all very soon.